Why, hello everybody. Nick Bell here, your Line 6 product specialist. Now, right off the bat, on my monitor here, I could see some weird flickering with the lights I have going on. So, I tried turning them off and I still get that even on my little landing screen here. So, my apologies on that. I was trying, that's why I'm kind of 2 minutes late to the show here, because I was trying to see what's going on, but I think it might be an StreamYard thing, because on my OBS everything looks good. So sorry if that's a little annoying. When we look over here at my screen, even we're getting some weirdness. So I'm not too sure what's going on there. Sorry if that's bugging you. Don't mean to cause any seizures, but sounds like a slapback delay. Interesting. I wonder why that is. Yeah, because you're just hearing me. Let's see. What if maybe if I turn the gain down a bit? How's that? Is that any better? Let's get some levels out of the way here. Let me turn down the gain a bit. All right. How's this sounding? Hold on. Let's raise that up. Is this a little better? Is it Let's see. Just let me know how it is. I got all these settings I can manipulate. I'm just going to give us a little boost here. Hopefully that's all right. We got my vocal here. We got some guitar. Vocal is slapback delay. Very strange. What's up, Tony? Tony, can you pipe in, or are you hearing kind of like a weird slapback with my vocal here? I just want to make sure it's my system and not maybe something else. All right, great. How about vocals? How we doing on Vox? Should I give us a little boost here? Not sure why I'd be getting the only thing I can imagine is if we're hearing echo in my room. You don't hear any slapback on vocal, but we can't much hear. Mic volume drop, raise the volume, please. You got it. Let's do this. All right. Let's see how we're doing here. Let me do this. Sorry, guys. Don't mean to keep you waiting just to hear me fiddling around here. All right. Check. 1, 2. All right. Let's see. Is that any better? We got some vocals. It'd be very useful and add something better than simple pitch in the next update. We just need these things so we don't have to go to another manufacturer if Line 6 cares about its customers, use its products. Sheldon, thank you so much, man. We're always hearing about how great Helix is or Catalyst. We're always hearing about the great stuff, but listening to our customers on what we can add and improve is what makes us better. So thank you very much for that. That's something I can bring up in my conversations, but what we really like to rely on is our IdeaScale. Check out our IdeaScale on our website if you haven't. It's kind of set up like Facebook where you can thank you again for the audio feedback, but IdeaScale is a way where you can put these ideas like on a bulletin board, and then other Line 6 users can vote these. And I'll tell you what, we're looking at that every single day. And every time there's an update, everything in IdeaScale, is considered. I believe, if we were to go back in time quite a bit, snapshots. Snapshots, huge feature. Lots of people use them. Lots of people love them. It all came from IdeaScale. So please, Sheldon, check out our IdeaScale. Put your ideas and your recommendations up there. We'd love to hear them, and I'm sure many other Helix users can pipe in as well. Let's see. Release the blocks. Let me decide what I want to put in the signal chain. All right. So talking about PodGo specifically, I'm assuming, because that's what we're talking about today. You're probably referring to the semi-fixed placement. So, well, not semi-fixed placement, but you have these, semi-fixed blocks in a way. Obviously, you can move these anywhere you want. And, you have your amp and cab. You could turn any of these off, move them anywhere in the signal chain. But yes, you're stuck with a volume pedal. You're stuck with a wah. And you're stuck with this parametric EQ. So you do have 4 empty blocks to make really anything you want. So are you referring to maybe if we, let you choose what this EQ could be? Maybe not an EQ, maybe a compressor or something else. Maybe that's what you're speaking to. So, the whole idea here is, PodGo, we don't have the 2 DSP chips like we do in Helix, and so, PodGo is really designed to just kind of hit the ground running. Maybe this is your first processor, or maybe you just want to get to tone writing really quickly. That's what PodGo is so great. What makes PodGo so great. And so that's why we have this kind of semi-fixed placement, so it's kind of like you don't really have to guess. But, again, IdeaScale, throw those ideas up there. And, we'll be happy to see them, and I'm sure other users as well. I want to have an effect loop, and others I don't. I have 1 amp. Okay, all right. So, yeah. Yes, release the EQ and a volume pedal block. Okay, good to know, good to know. Now, it all comes down to DSP, right? Our processing power. I'm sure we can have some areas where we can manipulate, but again, good stuff, guys. Keep throwing it out there, and we'll address it as it comes. We have Tony Campanovo, super face melting shredder, in the house, so he will help me today answer any questions. And let's just get down to why I'm talking your ear off today. Well, back to basics. If you are an avid tone writer, if you own Helix, if you've owned PodGo for a while, and you feel really comfortable with tone writing, and maybe you're even recording and playing gigs, what we're covering today may be, a review. It may not be anything new, but we're talking about preset leveling, and even though we're talking about preset leveling, if you have a different question, pertaining to PodGo at all, feel free to ask it, and we'll dive on in. This preset leveling subject is just kind of like a placeholder, to give me something to talk about. And to tell you the truth, if you guys would like to talk about anything else in the future on future streams, let us know. So, like I said, today we're going back to basis. Back to basics today, talking about preset leveling. Sorry, I was reading the comments coming in. So just keep your comments coming in, and we'll address them as we go. So first off, with preset leveling, you may be, some of you may be going, "Oh, really? Is that what we're talking about today?" And then there's others who may be going, "Yes, this is, what I've been, kind of wanting to talk about for a while." And believe it or not, we do lots of lessons. We do forum support, and even when I was pre-pandemic, when I was in stores a lot, this question came up quite a bit. What's the recommendation for preset leveling? I've always heard, I go to level my presets, and as I do that, by the time I go through my batch of presets, the volume tends to get louder, or quieter. But 9 times out of 10, the presets are starting to go and get louder in decibel. You may even have some presets that are quieter or lower than the others, but really simple stuff. I'll show you a cool trick. What we do over at the ranch when we're releasing a new firmware update, and obviously a new firmware update comes with new presets, and how are most of those presets leveled? Well, this is the way we do it. One of the ways. Now, first off, let's identify what parameters in PodGo, this even pertains to Helix as well, but let's identify what parameters we use to level our presets. So I'm just pulling up a tone right here. Obviously I'm using an impulse response, so I'll just pull up, let's say we have something here with a stock cap, because I don't want to confuse anyone if we're not using impulse responses, but we're gonna, segue into that. Nick Brown, what's up? Thanks for coming in. So, pretty much when it comes to preset leveling, you'll notice, okay, well, in the amp model, I have channel volume and I have master volume. In the cabinet, I have level. And then at the output block, I have another level. So we identified 4 different areas where we can either bring up or bring down our signal. Now, let's start off with the amp model. So channel volume or master volume. Now, these are two completely different controls. At the end of the day, they'll essentially give you the same result if you turn them down enough. But these are two very different controls. Now, the master volume is grouped with these lower parameters: sag, hum, ripple, bias, bias, excursion. And we call these field controls. But more importantly, these are power amp controls. So if we turn the master volume down, yes, you are going to lose volume, but you're also going to start adjusting your tone. Your tone's going to start shifting a bit. Now, the master volume is modeled right at the power amp. Just how if you were to take your classic Marshall, like the one I have here, and get it modded with the master volume mod, which is probably one of the most common mods with these old amps. Essentially, what you're doing is you're controlling the output of the power amp or the output transformer. So as you turn this master volume down, what happens is the power amp isn't pushing the preamp as hard, and so you end up with less saturation. So if you have a tone that's kind of fuzzy, maybe a British amp that's a little, too saturated, you could turn down the master volume and you'll notice the gain starts to even out a bit. You won't even have to touch the drive. So that's what we get with the master volume. And I could show you that if, moving forward. Now, the channel volume, it has no relation to the amp at all. The channel volume you can essentially think as a channel strip, kind of like what I have right here in Logic. It's just a channel strip. This is what I would recommend to start when it comes to leveling your presets. And this is, essentially, at least for me, the nucleus of my amp tone right here in regards to volume. If I need to bump or lower the volume of a preset, we're going to want to use channel volume. Now, in this situation, if you somehow are dimed at 100% and you need more volume, that's when we could come into the cabinet or even the output transformer or output block. Now, keep in mind, we could turn down the level of our cab and such, and then whatever effects you have after the amp, the level of those are going to remain at unity, what's set here at the output transformer. Obviously, the less signal you send your, post effects like reverb and such, obviously those levels are going to turn down. So that's why I would leave the output block, I would leave that alone. If anything, I would use it to boost my entire signal if you needed that. So I would just leave the cabinet and the output block at 0. I have met many users who would go all the way to the output block, and that's how they would essentially, control the volume of their presets. Now, at the end of the day, it's not a wrong way. It's not going to mess up your sound in any way. However, that's just one more step for you to click over and just add extra seconds, which add up to minutes and so on and so forth when you're doing tone writing. So as we move along this preset level journey, we're going to hover and use, the channel volume to control our overall volume. Now, since I've been talking for quite a bit, I'm going to take a look at our comments here and see what's going on. It looks like, Tony, you're taking care of a lot of stuff going on here. Thank you for that. I always found that out. It sounds good. Okay, great. Yep, Tony knows what's up. So cool. All right, we're moving along. So what I have here is 4 presets, just standard presets that I've kind of buttered up a bit through some impulse responses on there, because I love impulse responses. Now, one thing about an impulse response is if you start using these, you may notice right off the bat that the level is at -18. And as you know, with an impulse response, this is essentially a dot wave file. And these files tend to be really loud, a lot louder than what we got going on in a processor. So whenever you're using a guitar processor and you're transferring over a speaker cabinet IR, you're going to notice that the decibel level is dropped significantly. So in Helix, Pago, it's all -18. You could definitely raise this because you have a lot of headroom, but essentially any professionally curated impulse response you get, you'll throw it in at -18 here, which is default, and you're good to go. However, you may come across an impulse response, maybe someone just created one and threw it out there, whatever it may be, and you may need to bump this up a bit. However, leaving it at the default, -18, you should be good to go. And the impulse responses I'm using in these are from the free alert pack provided by Line 6 for free. Go on our website, line6.com/alert. I already had that link up there, so that's awesome. Check that out. Get yourself some free, really good impulse responses. I think the only other impulse response I have here is from the Live Ready Sound, the John Petrucci pack here on my Cali Rectifier. I think those sound amazing. So let's see what's going on. Let's go through here. Yes, stock cabs need to have plus data compared to IR is my experience. Yeah, good. Hey, that's good observation. Definitely stock cabs can appear a lot quieter than an impulse response. But yeah, it all depends where you're getting that impulse response. Obviously, if you're getting an impulse response that have multiple mics, even the room built in, your sound perception is going to be, much higher or much greater than what you would get from a cabinet impulse or, one of our stock cabs, which are still impulse responses. But thing about a stock cab is you don't have all the studio goodness. You don't have all that channel strip goodness going on. What you get with the stock cab is the bare bones. A 57 in front of a speaker, done. An impulse response, you get so much more. So there's a lot more frequency response, if you will. So let's see, just kind of wanting to answer some questions here. Would Stomp XL be considered an upgrade to Pod Go? It's the exact same model set. However, with HX Stomp, you have 8 blocks that you can move anywhere in the signal chain, that you can make whatever you want. What's also great about HX Stomp is you have parallel splits. And if you've watched my stuff in the past, I love parallel splits. Whenever you're able to split a delay and reverb, it just sounds a lot cleaner and so on and so forth. And there's just many different things you can do with parallel splits and stuff. Is it an upgrade? I would just say it depends on who the user is. If you have greater needs than what PodGo can offer you, that's why we have HX Stomp and Helix and so on and so forth. So if you feel that your needs are greater than what PodGo can offer you, then step up to an HX family product. Although we're working with HX models here in PodGo, and HX Stomp will definitely get you down that road. So you have a Line 6 Pro rack, HD Pod Pro. Yep, I know what you're talking about there. It's definitely a different user interface compared to Helix. That's what always amazed me when we released Helix, is that it's so much more data. The models feel and sound like the real thing, yet it's 10 times easier to use than like a Pod HD and such. Not knocking it. You gotta give credit where credit is due for the time period and where we were. But still, probably not harder to use than an Axe Effects, that's for sure. So, moving along here. I'm getting stuck in the comments, but keep them coming, guys. Good crowd today. Thank you. So, what we got going on here is I have just 4 presets. I'm going to kind of, roughly play through them all here just to give us a little bit of an idea. And see what we got going on here. I kind of wanted to be able to see what was going on in my Logic, but all good. Don't know why I'm getting getting some weird. Oh, here we go. There we are. All right, now we're cooking with grease. So I have this channel strip here. I'm not really, paying attention to this, especially when I do preset leveling, but it's just there for us all to see where we're at. We're kind of hitting maybe around -12. If I reset here, -13. But I'll tell you what, if you get stuck looking at a meter, get stuck looking at a decibel meter, it's obviously going to give you some, true information and data. But at the end of the day, using your ears and a little bit of this can greatly help. So I have a clean, And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to move my pod on the floor here. And then this way I could just, use my feet. So I have a clean, a Class A, a British, and then my Cali Rec. So levels are kind of all over the place right now. So levels are a bit all over the place. So you may, sit down, you're looking at your presets and you go, okay, where do I start? So whether you have 2 presets, 5 presets, 20 presets, this is, kind of the rule of thumb. Now, rule of thumb with your presets you have, start off with your cleanest preset. And in this case, it's this US Deluxe Normal. And then what you want to do is set this level to, really whatever's comfortable for you. Now on your Pod Go, I would recommend maybe, putting the volume knob at 12 o'clock. If you're connected to a PA speaker or like a power cab, whatever that may be, that could be your final resting place for your audio. So put your Pod Go, put your Helix, 12 o'clock, then go to your speaker source, your amplification source, and then move that so you're not blowing your ears out, or turn it up loud enough so you can hear it and may it be comfortable. The whole idea here is to ensure every preset is within the same level. At the end of the day, if you're cranking your amp and making your ears bleed, or you're straining your ear to hear, it doesn't matter. As long as your presets are the same level, you have the headroom at Pod Go at 12 o'clock, because if you show up to a gig and the sound guy hates you and didn't do much, well, now I have headroom to turn up my Pod Go. Or if I'm in a situation where maybe the sound guy bumped me up too much, which really never is the case, but now you have the headroom to turn down. So being at 12 o'clock, you're good to go. You may even see professionals that turn their volume all the way up to 100%. And that's when you have your own sound guy working for you, where you don't have to worry. You just put it up to 100, to 100%, then you don't have to worry anymore. But for us people, we're going to do 12 o'clock. At least that's how I do it. So now that we got that, what I'll do is you go to your cleanest preset, and then you just kind of, use your ears, use your decibel meter, if you will, and see how you're sounding. And so at any time I could say, let's maybe raise this to 9.5, see how we're doing. Sure, let's go with that. So then I'll save this clean preset. And now the one mistake many will do is now they'll jump to preset B and start leveling this. So now we're a little louder. And so since we're a little louder, let's do this. See, we're at 14 here. Let's go back to our deluxe. So we're actually doing pretty good. We're not too far off. So we'll level this and we'll save it, and then now go back to your clean preset. So the mistake here that many will do, that I was speaking of, is they will now go from preset B to preset C, and then they go from preset C to preset D, and so on and so forth, matching the next preset from the preset they were just on. And that's how you end up getting slowly louder and louder. What I want to do is now when I go to this Brit Plexi, maybe it's a little too loud here. What I want to do, instead of comparing it to preset B, my second preset, I want to compare it to my cleanest preset. So we're using our cleanest preset in our batch as a leveling preset. And we move this around and you save as you go. I'm looking at my meter in OBS and that's, right at the same level. Now, another thing you can do is create a leveling preset. Now, a leveling preset, I recommend using something very clean because our ears will perceive audio as being a lot louder when it's distorted. So I'll create a leveling preset. When we take a look here, our LUFs are looking pretty good, and keeping it around -14, -12 should be good, especially if we're doing live streams or sending something to YouTube or Spotify. And so what we're doing here is you could use your leveling preset to level every preset you have, or if you don't have the room or the ability to just fit in, to easily fit in a leveling preset like what I've done here, because I'm only working with 4 presets. If you don't have this ability, then that's where your cleanest preset comes into place. For me right now, it's this nice clean Fender amp, but for you, it may be something different. As long as it's your cleanest preset, definitely match it. So finally, we have our Cali rectifier. Now this is a lot quieter than what we've been working with. Now, a cool little trick here, what we've done with presentations, especially live presentations, is I've always kind of added a little extra dB to big box amps like a Mesa Boogie, just to kind of send home that message that this is a big, mean amp. So so sometimes I won't make these kind of high gain amplifiers perfectly in sync with all the other ones. So let's hear what we got. All right, let's turn that presence back down, turn our channel volume up. So now I'm at around 10. I'm just going to keep it at around like 9.5. Save that, and then we can see. So I'm at -15, barely creeping over. So let's check out our US Deluxe, Cali Rec. So to my ears, it's still a lot quieter, and so just due to where I'm working with, the channel volume isn't going to do me much. So then I could come over to the impulse response, and then I could give this a bit of, shave off about 2.5 or so decibels. Also what I like to do sometimes is just kind of take care of that 8 decibels, and then I'll come back to the channel volume here. Because it's easy just to keep going to the amp model. So now I have more headroom to work with, and then I could turn up the channel volume. And that's cooking. So I could turn that down, save that, go to my US Deluxe. I could probably even turn that down a little bit. Save that. And then let's go to our clean preset. So not a huge jump there. So if I go through A, B, C, D. And so now we're all in the same level here. I'll just switch through them with the same chord. And so now we're all within the same level. And so using a clean preset in your batch as your reference point and constantly reference that clean preset will greatly help you. I know you're probably watching this on a phone or a computer or a tablet. There's probably few of you who are listening to this on probably studio monitors and such, and even then my signal's getting squashed to like mono, stuff like that. So the impact of what I'm doing here may not shine through for you. So definitely try this out with your setup if preset leveling has been kind of a thing for you. All right, now I've had my eyes glued to this Podgo edit, so I'm just going to take a quick look at the comments here. It looks like Tony's been going off on YouTube, so you Facebook guys probably don't see it. Twins don't have drive. Not sure I understand that. My go-to level is usually -6. Okay, great. And another thing I failed to mention is the guitars you're using. I'm using this this Pacifica. I got a JB in the bridge. So if you're using active pickups, if you're using pickups, with excuse me. If you're using pickups, that have a lower ohm rating, your levels are going to change. Definitely. So there isn't a golden rule of thumb. However, the processes that we've been covering here will apply to anybody in any situation, no matter how loud you need to be, as long as you reference a clean preset. And instead of just going from 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4, and etc., as long as you're able to reference the same preset, you should be pretty good. So that was my half-hour spiel for you guys on preset leveling. Like I said, nothing too exciting and great here. This is really for those who are, kind of getting into tone writing and or dealing with a lot of tones, and maybe you're starting to rehearse with a band or play live with a band, and preset leveling, has been an issue for you. Keep in mind other ways of controlling level is, adding distortions or overdrive pedals. What you can do is you could always bring up the level as well, and then now you have a nice little solo lead. But quick rule of thumb for those of us who are just getting into tone writing and such, when it comes to a distortion pedal, whether it's on or off, your level should be the same. It should not increase unless you want it to. So keep that in mind as well as your tone writing. Anything that has something to do with gain is going to raise your levels, and this applies to your reverbs, your delays as well. You essentially do not want your delays or your reverbs to reflect back louder than your initial signal, unless that's what you're going for. So keep that in mind when it comes to controlling levels and so on and so forth. So let's see what we got here. What's the best practice with volume knob? I haven't maxed out. Is that good or bad? I'm assuming you're speaking to the volume knob on your guitar, and it really depends what you're going after. Most guitars, when you when you roll down on the volume on your guitar, what you're doing is you're sending less gain, less of a signal to the amp, and so you could essentially clean up your sound and have a softer tone when you roll down your volume. But when you're recording rhythms and and doing leads or whatever, keeping it at full is totally normal. However, there are several modifications you can do to your volume knob on your guitar, such as probably the most popular being a treble bleed, where when you turn down your volume, the treble doesn't turn down as well like it normally does, because currently, if you're using a stock guitar, without any, high-end electronics in it, everything turns down, and so you may have a kind of a quiet, muffled sound even because of that low end, just being really prevalent, because your high end is, getting turned down as well. Check out some treble bleed kits. You can get them off Amazon even, spend a couple bucks and you just solder it right onto your volume pot, and then now that volume knob does a lot more for you than just turn down volume. So again, it really depends what you got working under the hood, but if it sounds like how I said, where it just sounds like the volume's turning down and you're losing a lot of high end, that's why. That's just how a volume knob works, unless you add in one of those nice orange caps that that just let the treble bleed through. I'm sure someone else in the chat could explain what exactly is going on there, but I would show you with my guitar. However, my volume pot's going out, so even when I turn it down, you can't really tell. But I do have a treble bleed on mine, but like I said, I can't demonstrate it due to this pot needing to be replaced. But that's really what you're going to get with moving around that volume knob, and Tony knows all about it. Being a jazz player, his volume knob's moving all over the place. Volume knob on the HX Stomp. Well, the volume knob on the HX Stomp, I recommend, 12 o'clock. Sorry to give you that spiel on the volume knob on your guitar, but volume knob on your HX Stomp, just like with Podgo, I'd recommend 12 o'clock. That gives you plenty of headroom to turn up or turn down. Like I said, obviously you need to send a hot enough signal to your speaker cabinet, power cab, FR, or front of house. But as long as your presets are leveled, it doesn't matter where that volume knob is. But rule of thumb that I recommend, keep it at 12 o'clock, make everything sound good and leveled at 12 o'clock, and then you have full control with that volume knob to be either quieter or lower. Let's see here. All right. So, yep, thank you so much for throwing that in there. But guys, that's really all I had for you. Like I said, nothing too crazy or interesting, but hopefully it helps out with your tone writing ventures. Before I sign off, you've been talking to me, and you YouTube guys have been talking with Tony Campanovo, getting into the chat, so thank you very much. We were very YouTube heavy today, so that's great. But if you want to learn more, talk to me or Tony, feel free to check out free lessons, line6.com/events, where you'll get a one-on-one lesson, more than likely from me or Tony. There is Ross Bailey from time to time, but Tony and I mainly handle these, and whatever you want to talk about, Catalyst, DL4, Helix, whatever it may be, if it's a current Line 6 product, we're here for you, and it's free for the time being. So check out line6.com/events, sign up for a free lesson, and we'll get you booked and have a nice workshop, and 45 minutes for free. That's not really an offer you hear from anyone nowadays. Free 99, as we say. But other than that, guys, I'll leave that lessons page up so you can copy that and sign up for anything in the future. But again, thank you so much for joining us today. Check in next week. I think we have Tony Campanovo, who's going to show us something really cool and interesting. But thank you again for your time. Have a great and safe weekend, and we'll see you at our next live stream. Take care, guys. Thank you.